다티네 라마인지 니네 풍부 주발라테네 다티 미니네 풍부 주발라테네 하다 미 둥에도 강글로티 니 밀류덴티 주스 다 주베테는 용구야르바 밀류덴 나미기 풍부세 먼저 나미기 풍부세 먼저 딜 풍부딜라 나미기 풍부세야지 류딜레 게중기 나미기 류세야지래 나미기 류디 나미기 류디 나란드 아니지 그래서 그래 카세라 소바도 쓸 때니 야핌디 레스케 메브리 다 카세를 때니 카세 서둔을 때니 야 핌디 레아그 루이지야르바 딜게 유기 루시리 게브리주와 서둔을 때니 루이디야 게브리주야 지야르바 딜게 유기 루시게레 나미기 루시야 되다 담분에 류디 타와지제 genjuk 류기 된도 봐 캡데를 소리지 데드 타와지 나미 류세야디 genjuk 류세야디 데드 라파제 그 카셀르드니 야 페두고 유시기야리 카세 말하는 마 구두로 봐 아이다 나미 류티티 카세 말하나 말 구두야다 야 핀트레스 게메브레다 genjuk 류디 덥침브레네 쿠파 디디치 파 캡두리 미슈지기 아니 genjuk 류지 그 핀디스케 두고야 말 콜레지 온게 담보 판샤 레기 온게 중에 풍부들라 저 레기는 미 풍부세데 어디시기야래
So we have been talking about the suffering that human beings experience, the suffering that comes when you receive these, or when you get these, the what we usually call the appropriated aggregates, the 5 aggregates of a human being. So we have this. We talk about having the human body. There are actually 2 types of body. You've got the what we could call the gyugilu, so like the increasing body, and then there's the other one, which is the we could call it the body of maturation, or the ripening body, as in ripening result. So in the case of the body, which the increasing body, for want of a better term, this is one which develops depending upon our intake of food and drink. So it changes depending upon the intake of food and drink. It can improve, or in a sense increase. It can become better, or it can also deteriorate depending upon the food and drink intake. In the case of the ripening body, this is one which doesn't deteriorate or increase or improve depending upon the intake of food and drink. It's a subtle body which pervades the increasing body, which is in comparison gross. So we can see how when we, depending upon the food we eat, what we drink, this our body changes. So that body which changes, that's the increasing body, or the developing body, the body which is subject to development. Whereas the so-called ripening body, which is the more subtle one, that's something which is thrown. Which is the usual term we use. It's thrown by or projected by through the force of karma, and it's something that we have right from the beginning of this life.
어때네 연주 계주를 세야지 지당 주인한테 밤에 구라니를 때니 중성한 밤에 구라니부터 담 밤에 되네 야르바 그 가르스 그래 부디기 레기톱스게 조금 말봐 밤에 구라니부터 되네 남이기 류이티 밤에 구라니부터 파 양식이 아니 파 가르스 그래 들 파참 누구야래 가르스네 남이기 류이세한테 밤에 구라니부터 파 밤에 구라니부터 다 견주고 류그 소리지래 류라바티 아니 그 파제니 피게 라바르치 파제니 피게 지두가 대를 제르바 라바티 파제스네
제스는 올라라네.
뜻이니 남이 류이디 그디 캬비아디 그 라바티 제스는 남이 류이디 피게 레디야 말이 파 의결한 신소리지 파 뒤두 참무지에서 그 뒤두게야래 그게 남이 류이디는 다 동행해야지 여러분 그 배지에 타서는 류이디라 라베땡 류지 여러분 샤다 뒤지 류지 어디 그 동행해야게 말봐 그 초하게 뉴야 메르바 디 초한 뉴냐기 딸 남이 류시니디 아니 류시세야 되다 저차니 윤구야리 류시바 세저바 디니 쿠피 라베데 제찬은 류시게 디 지다 라베텐도 야르바 그 카가사도 류시도 뒤도 그러바 디는 신남이 류디 파 뒤도 야르 베나 셔도 어렵지 남이 수제 질lem서 남이 셔도 왜디 로고 왜디 파 뒤도 그러바 셔도 디 단다 대대르바 디츠도 근데 디 류라바디 셔도 소리지제 아니 그래서 그래 로기 뒤처럼 자르바 디든 파쳐도 그래 수지티 세스는 로기 뒤처럼디 파 뒤도 그래 그 참무지리 딘디질 매버스 레숭아 그 뒤지르 봐 뒤를 수그래 너 뒤에 소리지래 다 자상 남이 류세야디
아니 비슷하대 소원 동에다 용기 말에 생기디 가기래.
디 라바티피게 제차수나
나.
류기 차시 집게 들어와. genjuk 류기 차시 집게 레들어와.
나래.
이내 콜라 소녀야 개야 말와.
요말에.
류기.
나.
디네 디시 남이 류디 피게 될 매버체.
매비.
남이 류디 코.
나스나.
뒤 차례래.
나스나.
그래 로드 세션나 남이 류디 코바데 코바코바 가자 매비체게라
나래.
로디 쿠바도 버레스나
나.
게샤야 말와
요말에.
로디 스위치 세드도 로디 쿠바도 버레스 지다 나 디그 소리지래야 뒤치야데
So with the increasing body, the developing body, this it starts off with the the two substances of the parents, sperm and egg, the liquid and the blood of the parents, and that's something which is a gross form, and that's not the result of karma. Then you have the ripening body which pervades that or permeates it. So for the relationship between these two, if you were to like cut off the hand, let's say, then the ripening body that was permeated that wouldn't go with it. It's like it's sort of like drawn back. It's in the nature of light. It's sort of like collected back. It doesn't remain in the hand, so that it doesn't continue to. You don't continue to experience the hand even after it's been cut off. So it's like the analogy of you've got a bulb in a flashlight. The bulb, when it's switched on, so then the light goes out, and then when it's switched off, then you can't see really where the light has gone to. It doesn't remain there. It's like it's sort of like like drawn back. It's not radiated out anymore. So this is So it's like that with the because you have those sort of like in a sense like particles of the light from the electricity which permeated like the what do you call it, the glass on the on the flashlight and all that. So that ceases. That's sort of like that ceases. So just like that, the what do you call it, the subtle body, which is the body of maturation or of ripening, that stops permeating that part of the body that's been cut off.
No, that is it. Mingili Pumbutuvala did it, Tegumda. That is the Dotarbe.
Midung long,
Dotarba.
Lade.
Tatine, Dalhama Ingi Tunga Dirva.
No.
Dalhama Ingi, Yelengi Pumbutuvala Dennis. Lama Ingi, Yelengi Pumbutus. Tati Pumbutituna, Namiti, Pumbutituna. Nilhe Penjur Mesube, Tadogi, Yi Dumbe Dunges, Tati Jeda Lama in Seattle, Tati Tadog Dungeti Shechimbibre. Had Lama in Seati Kuni Neti, Jete Vesurichius Rivatar, Jasane, High Penjolum. Mesube Tado Tishaki Ku Sai Benjo Dati Lamayin Lel Benjo di Shiragu Topcheva Yerva Benjo and Jopati. Jasa Sai Benjogi Mesube Tadogi Yidunge Tiaris Lamayina.
Then we have the suffering of the demigods, antigods, demigods. So this is on page 132 in the book. It says, having appropriated the aggregates, having taken the aggregates of a demigod, one suffers the mental anguish of unbearable jealousy of the god's wealth and the physical suffering that falls from that. So the demigods, their predominant kind of suffering is the suffering from jealousy of the gods, because the gods have wealth which is much better, much more powerful than their own. So they have that jealousy, and this creates an incredible amount of mental suffering for them.
Tatine Tambudi ne Tado Yidung Sina Tadogi Yi Metewa Severva, Delatene Dunget Dunge Chikigris, Delatene Pumbuto to Bebe Dungeti Yunguyari Jebre, Ane Kula Namik Pumbuti Tento, Tambu Yila Dungech to Tado Latene, Tadogi Dung Alatene Yila Metewa Chike, Delatene Ane Lugi Dungeti Yunguri Jeb Soati, Al Delatene Luto to Babe Dunge Yungs to
So then, like it says, there is the unbearable jealousy of the god's wealth and the physical suffering that falls from that, comes depending upon that. So what that means is that so they have this very powerful jealousy towards the gods, and that jealousy creates so much mental torment, and then depending upon that, they have this like powerful feeling of mental discomfort, anyway, discomfort, and through that, then depending upon that, there's this suffering of the body.
Dati karesene I medewe chado dile tene ani tene ku lad tabi yerba tab ani lu jebala sube tungi ngu yerba ne ma jebdi dambo kondore chike konde de kune nani ani tene jagirba tabgirba tabul tene ani lu Jabala Dubala Subetungi Yungurba or this year.
How this happens is that so they have that jealousy, this feeling of jealousy, and then they go to war with the gods, and so then they get so much suffering from being cut, their body being cut, pieces being cut off, and so on. So the jealousy brings them to war. When they're going to go to war, they get very angry, they fight, and then when they fight, they get all of this physical pain of their body being, struck by weapons and so forth.
That's Debe, Dan Debe, Yelly Pumbo Drobalatine, Dan Debella Sergeri, Debella de Truyare. Gejin revshis, dene sumjutas, dene tabjes, dene trugas, dene shendu onjes, dene gandes ajeri. Gandes yadile, dollar rudu na gandes ajeri, tabjeje, gandes jedat, and dollar dele rigdu yar, or the dollar rigdu siadiri.
Then we move on to the suffering of the gods, the desire realm gods specifically, the desire realm gods. So there are actually 6 types of desire realm gods. You've got the god realm, which is called the 4 types of great king. Then there's the 33. Then free of combat. Then liking emanations, then controlling the emanations of others, and then the Ganden, so the joyful realm. So there's there is a desire, what do you call it? Desire realm, desire realm god level called the Ganden as well. No.
Debe he niling pumbu jubala tene lamayinda tabatang yala jebatang tandatil had the tabsia jerba lamayindil had tabsia di ni dole de tawier debel hada kam komel hada tavya kemer komel hadi tatande di lamayinda Sasi de la Seati, Nedi, Lama in the Chundam Chuda, the Negi, Tabanegi, Bamdi Shiba Menchel in Negi, Bamdi Shibala, de la de la Gejin Rifis, the Val Negi. Then Hamayin the wall malnegier, but the Kunini Tabgier, that DJ. Dinsa Pumbo Tubala, then El Hamayin the Namda Tabata, Yala Jabata, Tubata Subala Subetuneta, Mendush into cheating poverty. Say Benjo that Nesungu to me nyungkuba shebe dunges tadiri.
The text says, having appropriated the aggregates of a god of the desire realm, one suffers when fighting the demigods the loss of limbs, having one's body split open, being killed, and so forth. When confronted by the unwanted 5 signs of death, one suffers the dread of impending separation from the wealth of gods and the agonies of the lower realms. When it talks here about the gods fighting with the demigods. So the gods that fight with the demigods, this wouldn't for sure mean the gods of the upper realms, which means the gods of the form and formless realms. The ones that the demigods fight with are the gods of the 4 types of kings, who where they live is on the 4th level of Mount Meru, and then the demigods fight. So they live below there, and so the demigods fight with those the gods of the 4 types of king. They're the ones that fight, and so then they have this kind of suffering.
Kam kumani ji nyene ji phumbu tumne nebala rawa matube ta kam kumani sete sukam ta sumi kam singi dire ta sukam wil hatile ya ta tine nebala rawa matube ko sukam skebare de jene gyumed di nebala rawa ya mare karesene chikuguyarba chesa kam komani ji nyane ji phumu tubala nebala rawa matube rangi le sangbu phemba josune ta kwai tine chikuguyare kure dunge ngujula ya gu dunge tinte di ya mariti ani kam komatu sele kesuna su samde to sule kebayina ne legis pemba sambu disesuna ni tungdugere tene ngesunglo soba tunge patu mebe yunguri chebri kareresina nebetsina ani dingedile shecho dingedile nyamba shani tegiyare ani sonum sojujuya mare sonum saba meba yesana ni leti pemba to josuna ani ngargi leme geba saba mambu yarba timine ni nyawala soba to sulikene tunga patu meba yungure jare.
So then it says, though one, so it's talking about the gods of the higher, the 2 higher realms, the form and formless realm. Though one is appropriate the aggregates of a god of the 2 higher realms, one does not have the agency to remain there. Once the good action that has propelled one there is used up, the inconceivable suffering of falling to a lower realm will follow. So when you've been born there as a form realm god or as a form realm god through meditating on the concentrations, different levels of concentration, but you don't have you can't just stay there. You don't have the power to just remain there. So while you're there, you spend your time in concentration, and you don't create new karma, new virtuous karma. So when that karma for being born in that realm is used up, then the previous negative karma that will ripen, and you're going to be born in the lower realms. And so there's this incredible amount of suffering because of that. So they don't have the suffering, we human beings have. They don't have the kind of suffering that we have, but they have that suffering because they're going to be, their life is over, and then because of the previous karma, they're going to be born in lower realms, like in the hell realms and so on.
That gongma someday said someday shiare someday dambu singi chivas sumba shiva sechare someday dambula ne sumina chere someday nibale ne sumche ani someday sumbale ne sumche 중이 중순아
Nare.
근데 someday shivala ne geyin chere ani sugam neri chudun sigari chudun tiresunghe
chubdun chubdunra lare sum tigan la ge chubdunre
구구르바
lare
sum 두구체 디간 게게나
chubdun
어디래 sugam neri chudun sigari
so with the this form and formless realms, the form realm, you have the 4 levels, 4 firm contemplations, 4 samtenshi, so 4 firm contemplations or 4 concentrations, you might call them. So these are, well, actually, they're called the first concentration, second concentration, third and fourth concentration. That's what those levels are called. So there are, for the first level, there are 3 abodes. For the second, also 3. The third, also 3, making 9. Then in the fourth, you have 8. So these, those 9 plus the 8, which the 8 abodes of the fourth concentration, those are the 17 form realm abodes.
다 수건을 3대 담불의 제배는 창바 청리 창바 뒤나들 시제 숨리 다 창바세야디 아니 디 3대 담불 나 창바 첨부세 제리 그래서 숨디 아니 3대 니발라 기중계계 선음계 기중계계 기중제 계제제 선음 계제
선음죠, 그래.
되는 유중유지 세미유지 또제 기중계계 세미계스제 숨도가
워중 워제 그래서 숨을 워중
기중계제 세미계스제 숨제
선음죠.
삼대 숨발라 유중유지 세미유지 숨제 아니 어디제 두디디 구디디리
die samten damodel da sangba sangri
창바 창지 창바세네 정리 창지 창바 뒤나든 정리 창지 창바 뒤나든 that is my lemon district.
No. So then, as for these 3 different abodes, so in the first one, you have the one which is called Sangri, so like Brahma type, Brahma family, Brahma type, let's say. These might not be the precise translation terms, but anyway, it gives you an idea. Sangri, so the Brahma type. Sambachambo, so the great Brahma, Mahabrahma, and then Sambadunadun. Then I'm not sure what that one is anyway. Sambadunadun. So then the second one, that's the first level or the first abode is called the small virtue, then Gege, then increasing virtue, and Sanamchara, somebody. Then the great merit. And the third one, you've got this small light, Werchung, and Werchen, the great light, and Semiwa, infinite light.
That someday Shivala ne share does so jing ne sumche paben ne ngayu ne zangmanga se che someday Shiva diletat so ji ne sumse ta ne zangmanga se diletat pabe kansa yer ne zangmanga se pabe ne sige.
Then in the fourth, the fourth one, Sangri Sambachembo. Ali Sangri Sambadunadan. Then Sambachembo, Wachum, Semi Wasawa, Gewa Geki, Kasada Gechung, Semi Ge, and a Gege.
Senamki.
No. No. So that's basically it for those three. And then with the fourth concentration, or the fourth firm contemplation level of the form realm, remember I said you have 8. There are 8 abodes. So you've got 3 which are abodes of ordinary beings. Then there are 5 which are referred to as the 5 pure abodes. And what this means is that they are abodes where you only have Arya beings.
Yeah, that's it. Dona, Yelling Pumbudi, Sendi, Geganachi, Soji, Tenchi, Sta, Gawata, Kawata, Nawata, I gave it to me, Kavetung, and Navetung, Seacherva, Geganachi, Shibuti, Tungi, yes, Tungelata, Choagi, Kumaris. 먼저 동네 용세야 돼 소화되기 시기래. 네. 소화되기 용약 동네 도수강 동네 도수 다티 소화 인구야 말이야. 자사 동네를 소화 동네 인구 말인 건지 동네 지 소화 지레기를 봐. 동네 소화 동네 세지. 디 명작이 유도서 간다 동해리 전에 개베 동해서도 개베 뒤에 동해리 나와 뒤에 동해리 나 소아들은 나베 나의 동해 뒤뇨에 로지야봐 딜레타 소아시그르바 소아 동해시그리 이야 나오구나 시바게 말와 이는 약고 동해 인수 그래 동해 지야디 다 시바지 구게 말이지.
Then let's see over the page, I guess under the heading on page 134 it says the 3 kinds of suffering. In short, these appropriated aggregates act as the basis for this life's birth, aging, sickness, death, and so on. So, birth, aging, sickness, and death are suffering. So what that means is that to be suffering, it doesn't have to be a suffering feeling or suffering of sensation. The things which are the objects to be experienced by those suffering feelings are like, for example, birth, aging, sickness, and death. They are also called suffering. They are also suffering. Even though, so when we talk about the feeling of or sensation of suffering, that's a type of consciousness. And sickness, for example, aging, these are not types of consciousness, but still they're called suffering. No.
다때는 먼저 동해기 동해식이 즉 주로에 동해 개바도 지기 동해 숨도 갔다 동해기 동해서야 돼 말안줄라 딜레 잠기 그 그래서에 란줄레 줍자네 멘드베 삼바기 기니 지여봐 딜레 둥이기 둥에시게래. 그 둥이기 둥에시도 그 nembe kya kare yensine chitan kuna tunge girashi choa gyue tunge kyaba tuji ge tunge kang tunge re ba kola ni lab ku ya de ko tunge ti yo cham gi ra ani kasa ti jula choa mendebe choa ji ke tunge dila ni tunge ge tunge sigire penangana ju neji 아니 내 집에 내서 고나에 내 지어지 고나서나 남사 중에디 남사코 간사들 소화지 레투에르 메두베 소화지 기투에르 디인산의 중에그 중에서게르코 중에코라 예잠기코 간사들이야 mendepe chowa jin dren thunye dile dungye gu dungye sigere.
When we talk about the three types of suffering, which we usually call the suffering of suffering, suffering of change, and then the pervasive compounded suffering. So if we look at that first one, the suffering of suffering, this refers to a kind of suffering which immediately it's there in your continuum. You have this the wish to be free of it. You don't want it. So what's extra? Why is it that we say not just suffering, because all three of these are suffering? Why is it we call it the suffering of suffering? The reason is because, as well as being in the nature of suffering, merely by being produced in one's continuum, you have that unpleasant feeling, unpleasant sensation. It immediately comes. Like, for example, when you have a headache, as soon as you have the headache, you have that unpleasant feeling that happens at the same time. That's sort of like which is an unwanted feeling.
다 유에 동에서야지 내급들에 가사들에 지 대회 넘버를 지때 마시고 깨진여벌 규를 빼나 정우진의 시라 차사진의 님을 내수나 디네 딘지기 좋아지게 그래 봐. 님을 님을 때네 ngāgi chā tēpa tē tēzi chūngru tāngi yarwa tāndu tsāmba tē kō tsawāji tēwē tsawāji kīgi yarwa tē māshi kōra tūngē rē isi yarwa tā kārā isi nē nima tēli tē sunu namsā kāngi jī lē chūrwa kō ngōne tēwa mā rē isi kārā rē isi nē ngōne tēwa inē kō gazē jī tē nē kō nya tewati gyundo mebar chungu yarwa kuneka sang nya 장에 rekja shu chimbu tez ma jaba yensane denyam chike bare mishuji kura dungere yesigere tele gyuru dungere sigere.
Then we have the suffering of change, the second of these three. The suffering of change is a case of temporarily, or having a temporary sense of pleasure, which anyway for sure is going to change in the second moment. So it's not going to stay the same. Like, for example, you're in a cold place, so then you go somewhere warm. So the first moment you have that sense of pleasure because the unpleasant feeling from being cold has reduced, but immediately also the suffering of being hot begins, and in the beginning, it's of course is not noticeable, but anyway, it begins there, and if that sense of pleasure that you get from moving into the warm place were real happiness, what that would imply is that the longer you sit there, the more pleasure and more happiness you would feel. No.
That and says that the Tambuti says that Jampa Denyam Chingurba. Dineti Kajin Saju to Jampa Denim Menduva Lochiki Duga. Draw Jayan do Dinichi quote Tambuti Jebe Dungi to Cruise, Lamsa Severba Tambu, Sadu. Jebe Dungi to Lamsa Dets Chung Chimberba. This Sasa into Ku any Mendovici, the same Mendovici Letung, Kupa Judu Verdini, Ku any Mashikura to Nigan Shiri Ku says Sambulu Lonchever, the Warab Chiarava. The Tamputi Jebe to get the passe into Denyam Jinguira coverage. The Nekote Sunekoti Ania said the same Mendovici, Chiloch Pad Wherever. The is Uncle. So the part Jebe says something you saw the part you do wear. And it's meant to be totally at you to wear no J into. Could the Devaraji Mune Deva in a cook long at the janitor? Devata to good ba, the Marba, didn't could you to wear it.
Like when you eat, for example, so you've been feeling hungry, you eat. When you start eating, you start getting this sense of being, sense of pleasure. But actually what will happen is if you keep eating, you get full eventually, and then you have this, the mind arises where you don't want to eat anymore. So right in the first moments, once you start eating, then the original feeling of suffering stops. So the feeling of hunger gradually diminishes, but then what happens is that anyway, of course, it's changing. So what will happen is that, and anyway, it's actually in the nature of suffering. So what will happen is that that happiness diminishes, and then you have the suffering arising. Whereas if it would real happiness, if the happiness or the pleasure, the happiness you get from eating the food were real happiness, then it should be that the more you eat, the more happy you feel, which is not the case.
Yeah, that is it. Oh, didn't it? That I Gyumed Dungi Nije. Did you and temperatures, Yale Pumbuti Trusuna? Any Dungi Gyumed Dungi, you put in Dichinigal temperatures, and Dichinigar and temperature. Yale Pumbu Ratuzan, language. Xiawa Jingi, Tuji, Pungu, Rashije, to Bayino style, Duji Tungesiare, Tungetilla, Tungi, Gyumed Dungi, Chaba Duji Tunges, Chaba Duji Tungesia, the Karasinian Pumbu Kurare. That Chaba Duji said it, Tunge Sumgagi, Dere, Tungi Nigagi. Dungi Tendi, Chaba Duji Dungeti, Duji Dungi Tenjigri, Gyumed Dungi Tenjigri. Just an Chaba said, Dungi Shenile Chaba. Chab said, Dungi Shenigi Tenjis. Ani Duji said, Language on Duji Basi. The language only Ducheba Tati, language only Ducheba Kangulo, that Chaba Duji to make sort of share. That day she did mobile. Language only Ducheba Kangulo, Chaba Duji to me incident year. Duchi said the carrot duches, language only Sierva. Now the Duchegi said the 가리 두제스네 규겐 두제바시게르바 규겐을 때는 두샤바시게르바 디디가데 레드 뉴모 레드 뉴모 온기 두제바시게르 레드 뉴모 니기 라테는 두샤바디 두지기 동네시게르 어때도 숨문주군도 풍부도서 간거 동네 예스거리 다 두지기 개바 두지기 동네시게르 딜레
No. Okay, so then if we carry on with that in the text on page 134. So aging, sickness, death, and so on. And in short, these appropriated aggregates act as the basis for this life's birth, aging, sickness, death, and so on, and induce both the suffering and the suffering of change in this and future lives from the mere existence of the appropriated aggregates themselves. One is established as having the nature of the aggregate of compositional factors, which is under the influence of karma and afflictive emotions. So this is talking about the when it talks about the appropriated aggregates here, this is talking about the third kind of suffering, which is the so the pervasive compounded suffering, or compounded suffering. That'll do. So this refers to. What it refers to is the so-called, to use the term in this text, appropriated aggregates. I think he says appropriated aggregates. So this suffering, the pervasive compounded suffering, is the basis of the other two sufferings, the suffering of suffering and the suffering of change. So the reason why it's called pervasive is because it pervades the other two types of suffering in the sense of being the basis for those two. It serves as the basis for those two types of suffering. And when we say pervasive compounded suffering, why it's called compounded is because it's compounded by the cause, the karma and the klesha, the previous actions and the destructive thoughts and emotions. So it's compounded by those. That's why it's called compounded. So in fact, anything which is compounded by, in other words, a product of karma and the klesha, the destructive thoughts and emotions, is a kind of pervasive compounded suffering. Because the compounded means compounded by, produced by karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. So in connection with this, we talk about the compounded phenomena, don't we? So when something is a compounded phenomenon, then you would naturally ask the question, well, compounded by what? So in general, the answer is compounded by causes and conditions, produced by cause and conditions. So here, when we talk about pervasive compounded suffering, compounded means compounded by, in other words, a product of the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions.
다 잡아들지기 등에서야지 되네 다티 대바제 수제 수미감 순간을 켜버려 되네 수미를 켜버들지기 등에 유저게 수미 풍부지 남식 풍부를 받다 수 풍부야 말이지 풍부 현시야 민수 민시 풍부스 그래 서로한 뒤시 뒤지 뒤시 시야니 디야리 되게 풍부신 디야리 디여서 되게 랭이기 시원제리 랭이 레드님은 온게 줍샤브제리 디인사리 겹 뒤지기 등에서야디 랭이기 시원제기 풍부들었어 랭이기 시원제에서 수미감래 켜봐 뒤지기 풍 등에 유였어요. 다 가르메스는 등에기 등에야 말이 교회 등에야 말이 켜봐 뒤지기 등에서 감순간을 켜봐 니 동해 시행일에 켜봤으나 대체는 켜봤어야 돼. 감순간에 켜. 동해 시행일에 켜. 동해 시행이 요새들다 켜봤듯이 동해 열이 풍부디 알아봐. 랭이 중에 풍부디 알아봐. 뒤에서 어디래?
Also, when we talk about, when we refer to this as pervasive compounded suffering, it pervades all three realms. So what that means is that we have it in the desire realm and form realm, of course, but also the formless realm. In the formless realm, you do have the consciousness aggregates. You don't have the form aggregate, but you have the other form aggregates. You have the aggregate of feeling, discernment, compositional factors or compounded factors, and then the last one, the consciousness aggregate. In other words, you have the name aggregates. When we talk about name and form, we have the name aggregates. You don't have the form aggregate, but you have the name aggregates. So in other words, you do have those four aggregates, and those four aggregates are all produced without choice by karma and destructive thoughts and emotions. So what is missing in those realms of the three types of suffering? They don't have, in the formless realm, you don't have the suffering of suffering, you don't have the suffering of change, but you do have the pervasive compounded suffering, because that suffering pervades all three realms. No.
겨울랑 점이네 동해지 풍부 주부래 켜버두지 그 동해지 주부도가 다 동해기 동해서야 돼 되네야 소화지 레인들 아니 동해기 동해 주부야로 봐 아니 니 겨울 렌점 코랄라 데리다 켜버두지 그 동해지 주부도가 되네야 동해 그 동해 뒤쪽에 예봐야 말 동해 그 동해서야지 말한줄라 맨두베 초아 잡아지게 인데 네 동해 그 동해 들려인 거래 그 용부터 남사 강에 라는 강에 때 동해 들라 네 동해 그 동해 쓰기야래 주로에 동해서야지 그 주비인데 좀 봐 대념을 했지. 마시파 동네그랑 시인이지. 주로에 동네서 그래. 담부터 주비인데 그 가나로 지게. 아니 디디 뭐 마대바디 진 파줄 중에 지어봐. 어디래 동네그 주로에 동네서 그래 봐. 어디에서는 두수 어두수 대화칭이 받지 말이 대화칭이 말받아 어디지
The pervasive compounded suffering is something that we have right from the very moment that we're born. In the case of the other two types of suffering, they're not necessarily going to be there right from the moment that we're born. In other words, right from the beginning of this life. So, that suffering, the suffering, which is something that we don't like right from the very moment that it's produced in our continuum. Suffering of change, which when it's first produced, we have this sense of pleasure or happiness, but it doesn't last. Anyway, it's in the nature of suffering, and it doesn't last, and gradually gives way to an unpleasant feeling. So it's not real happiness. It's not proper happiness. No.
다 되나 시도가 되나 예레지 풍부한 시쟁지 코알레 저 알라마상지 고관 진에죠 토브라자고 스테나 시도 미예레지 풍부 줘발라 때니 미둥에 되게 레송아 사마인기 년이 풍부도 발랐더니 사마인기 동에 들려서가 아니 제 대연 책이 아니 수미를 소부터 수인데 라랑이 년이 풍부도 발랐더니 라랑이 동에 들려버봐 대연상 대나서야 돼 년이 풍부라 시쟁기 코알레 저에 라마상계지 고반 진의 곁토브라 자우 대다 진네바 라마레 진결럽도 소아 선답티제 되게 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 삼 년에 풍부도 발랐더니 미 등에 되게 삼로다 되네 라마이 등에 대해서 되네 라이 등에 소부터 삼 되나다 년에 풍부 생겼지 좀 주점내 되네 그 등에 그런 시지 레시아 섬을 들게여봐 제사다 되네 년에 풍부 아니 나라시 코아딜레 저 겹도서 코아스는 년에 풍부란 시지 네 코아스야디 년에 풍부란 시스네 먼저 코아스야디 되시거리 랭이 온기 인점 차베 차딜라 랭이 온기 코아께와 랭스야디 랭이 온기 인점 차베 차딜라 코아스제 더 딜레 주고 그래 딜레 주서는 아니 겨울인기 매비치 쳐그래 랭이 온기 겨울인기 매비치 쳐그래 랭이 온기 겨울인기 매나 아니 동네 되게 그 용서 매버리 어디 매버 인사다 되나 아니 되나 년에지 그래서 그래 되나 년에지 풍부라 시쟁기 코알레 저 코아세 년에지 풍부라 시쟁기 코아세는 딱 그래서는 예 랭이 좋은거 년에지 풍부시라 만한주 자와라 자르와라 랭이니기 년에 풍부질을 자라와래 먼저 미개월인데 랭이니부터 미 년에 풍부질을 자라와들라 코아스게래 안 대코르데 때리다 랭이기 온게 주에 년에 풍부질 코르제 대바이 아니 디 년에 온게 년에 온게 주에 풍부질에 마두나 코알레데 코데데 어디 대신 빼나 랭이니부디 타바르티제 그래봐 타바티제 아니 빼나 라지 가발에 따비나 라디 무주제 코알레니 겨알레니 간사티제 타바티 랭이니부터 타바지 아니 가와디 이 온거 중에 랑배 풍부디제 당면 저기 랭이니게 온기 가사디 랭이지 년점 저에 풍부실에 봐 징버리 따버샤버리 풍부질이 따버려버려 랭이니 되게 가르쳐버려서는 랭이 중그 중 풍부지 중으로 봐 풍부질에 가사디 파 잡으러 봐 근데 타박이 라디 가와질이 징대버려 봐 아니 라디 가와질 거리 겹쳐 대주 타박이 마체봐도 어디 디시가리 디디지 버리면서 코아세야 코니 등나 주제 디스 코 제버레스니 레드니 뭐니 코 제버레스 강을 코아레스니 랭이 풍부치라 거제 대리 근데 랭이 풍부디 마두친데도 아니 코알 코데기 다 코알에 들어라 랭이 풍부디레 저고게 that's
In the text now it says this is right in the middle of page 134. Therefore, I will obtain by all means the high state of Guru Buddha, liberated from samsara, the nature of which is these very appropriated, these very, I mean, not like very appropriated, but very in the sense like just exactly these appropriated aggregates. Bless me, Guru Deity, to be able to do that. So when it says dena, therefore, what that means is, so we've been reflecting on the suffering, the human suffering that we experience once we've, I don't know, like once we get these human aggregates. We reflected on the suffering of the demigods, which you get when you have the, which you have as soon as you get the aggregates of a demigod. Then likewise reflected on the suffering of the desire realm gods, the form and formless realm gods that you have as soon as you get their aggregates. So therefore, having reflected on those, then which means you have those aggregates, and immediately you have them, then you have suffering, which means you have the suffering of samsara. So samsara, korwa, samsara means it means the having the nature of the appropriated aggregates. So it's under the power of the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions that we take birth in cyclic existence. So that's what the taking birth. So cyclic existence means being born or taking birth under the control of karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. So what we need to do is we need to stop being born under the control of karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. If we stop birth that occurs under the control of the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions, then we won't have to experience suffering anymore. So cyclic existence, which is in nature suffering, like for example when you take birth as a human being, you take the aggregates of a human being under the control of karma and destructive thoughts and emotions. So it's like the example, we can understand maybe how these things fit together in terms of the analogy of a goat which is tied by a rope to a pillar. So as long as the goat is tied by that rope to the pillar, then it can do nothing else except just wander around the pillar, and in that area of the pillar it's kind of stuck there until the rope is cut through. So as long as it's not cut through, then it remains tethered to the pillar or the post or whatever, and it has to stay there. So it's like that when we take. So the goat would be like ourselves, circling, and the pillar or the post would be like the aggregates which we've got or we've taken, received under the control of the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. The karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions themselves would be like the rope. So in order to prevent being born as a human being or whatever, which means taking that set of contaminated aggregates, then we need to cut through the rope which binds us to them, which is the karma and the destructive emotions, taking birth, taking those aggregates under the control of the destructive thoughts and emotions.
That 다디네 디네 라마 랑기줄 베네 둥에디게 삼바이네 다 둥에 가리 삼바이네 미 둥에 삼바이네 삼 둥에 삼발라 때니 디네 미 둥에 딜레 탄두글로 지키기를 봐 탄두글로 지키었으네 디네 랑기줄 라말할라 야 덤바상게르지 지울로 공무시 대야를 봐 공대야를 대금대 딜레 지울 이베네 라마상게라 소아도 둥에 딜레 타와 징길라도 수스 둥에 딜레 타베 라마상게 주고 바치 토바 징길라도 수스제 소아도 대소아도 발테네 아니 지울 라마할레 kui lamale kui chale tuji nenga we seta jebe kimba tene ani tuji lamale kule tuji nenga we seta jebe kimba ani rashi simje tamjegi lula shubes ta rajugo mai bache rangi tunge ji samde jamba rānta je rāngi kota pāma tāng semje tāṋ jegi nga sēta ngani tūngi yūchū tīsā rāngi tūngi yūchū tīnāshī semje tāṋ jegi ya tūngi tītā rāuchi tūngi nga nār tiyāri sambarabachē ani tīni tūngi tīli ani tewe lāma sāngi yukobā toba jingila tu suwata tī suwata wala tīni Lama dile tuji se ngati chepi kyumbo randa rangi khodi kiba semje tamjegi ani luida sem nigal shu lusim la shu bes ani teda di geji chang teda di toba chebaje teda di geji chang se de dande di gibu ding khaturwa koala kuala tungenge ranshido thongala gekjibe gekjige timati pajang munju kuwa tada tungenge ranshido yapuji thong yamarwa thongala gekjige timati ja ani timati jambala tene ani teta di toba chabaji tungele tentuge kuwa jita jitaga tungele tentuge toba chabaji kebe mebache shengi gyula gebra sam ranshingi niga gyula gebra sams dire.
And then it says bless me guru deity to be able to do that at the end of that section. And then there's the paragraph at the bottom of page 134 I think it looks like it's part of the commentary, but it should be indented as well because it's also in the root text of this this Lamrim text. So what you do is you have the guru on the crown of your head, and whatever kind of suffering it is that you've been thinking about, whether it was the suffering of the human beings that you've been thinking about. So you have this mind that wants to be free of that. And so you think of the Guru deity on the crown of your head, like the Buddha, our teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, on the crown of your head. And you make a request to him to bless you to be free of that suffering. And then depending upon that request, then from the body of the Guru come streams of light and nectar of 5 different colors. And so you're thinking not just of yourself, you're thinking of all the infinite sentient beings. Not just yourself, you've also got your parents and all other sentient beings surrounding you. And the light and nectar, stream of light and nectar enters into one's own body, and also all the bodies of all the infinite sentient beings, because you recognize that just like yourself, So you've been meditating on your own suffering, so just like you're suffering, you'd recognize that all the other sentient beings are also suffering. So you make that request, and then the lights and nectars enter into your own body and the body of all those infinite sentient beings around you. And when it says, where are we, purifies, so yeah, with this application, streams of 5-colored nectars together with rays of light descend from the bodies of the Guru deity seated on your crown. These streams enter the bodies and minds of all sentient beings and yourself, thereby purifying all the misdeeds and obscurations accumulated from beginningless time. In particular, the streams purify all the misdeeds, obscurations, sicknesses, and possessions that prevent you from realization of the specific sufferings of samsara. So, what this is talking about is, so here this is, the practice is concerned with specifically the meditations connected with the person of, in common with the person of middling capability. So what you're particularly trying to purify is any obscuration to seeing that cyclic existence is in the nature of suffering. So this is something that we can't see very clearly at the moment. So you want to purify that, and then the realization that that you're focusing on achieving. So yours and all other bodies have the nature of light, luminous light, pristine luminous light, all yours and others qualities such as long lifespan, and so on. So anyway, the realization that, so it says at the end of that paragraph, and you and yourself, the minds of yourself and all others, particularly, get the special realization of the specific sufferings of samsara. So particularly, you think that through this, that light and nectar, then you get the realization, which is the mind wanting to be free of psychic existence.
Well, that in the Kangal yari need darin de to shiver mish. Then yali cho medaba yimba, cho medaba the danger dunji yaga sambata. And it in a jamdu jeta to su Kangalo yari, when a jamdu cheperagina. Narangi Jula Lamala Commission and a jamdu sa tini ani satsa tini dutin babe chances tini Lamala Kuatilan Karasawa Kuatilan Matu, but the jamdu Namda Rangula Maki Lembatus ni jamdu Namda Rangula Java Jingle to Sje. Ani soada tilatin ani lamale tujuse jamdu kate sa chasune shutila tujuse nangas tujuse seati tujege digi guru tujigi ne bashasgere veser seati se chage jimbu tubenne bashagi yechabre 다음에 뒤집에서 나가서 나지 거야 돼 그래서는 이신의人시 다 유류두인데 풍부가 답에 다자 아니 이 대시시방가 이봐 미지바 지금 여봐매 뒤도 아니 저 전제 디아르바 남바나제스 rangi 풍부가 답에 다차지 되니 이신아 세제리 어디지 왜 생각이 뒤집지 시작이야리 다 아니 뒤집에 장 제바디 줄이두지는 바샤 왜세 뵙장 제바디 뒤집에 세송아 왜세 뵙장 제바디를 했더니 아니 요새 자기가 전부터 너버치하기야리 어디에서니 뒤집에서 나가 뭐 라시스임제 탐제 뒤에 라주고 많이 봐 라시스임제 탐제기 라니 뒤집에한테 제거를 미버체 아니 뒤집에서 뒤에 요즘 니가라시 Lusim Nigala Shubem Babaje. Oh, did Chubris?
Now, I've mentioned this meditation specifically here, but actually, this is something that we should do in combination with each meditation. Like, for example, if we've been meditating on impermanence, death, meditating on that, or we've been meditating on the leisures and endowments of the precious human rebirth. Likewise, when we've been reciting refuge. So if you've been, for example, if you've been reciting refuge, going for refuge again and again, how many times you're going to do it, then you think at the end that you have the guru on the crown of your head, and then after reciting, you imagine the purification of the descending lights and nectars. So you make the request to be able to have pure refuge from now on until enlightenment, and then you do the light and nectar visualization, and the particular point of having the nectar, purifying with nectar, that visualization acts as a cause for being able to achieve the illusory body, and then the light rays, that purification with light rays acts as a cause for being able to achieve the clear light Mahamudra. And then also it mentions 5 colored light rays. So this having those 5 colors acts as a cause for achieving the 5 types of wisdom, exalted wisdom. And because these 5 lights are in the nature of those 5 types of wisdom, exalted wisdom, and likewise we have the 5 Buddha families, the 5 types of Tathagata, which are the purification of our 5 aggregates. So having the 5 colored lights and nectars, that acts as a cause to achieve those. So again, the nectar acts as a cause to be able to achieve the illusory body. Clear light, the light rays, the clear light Mahamudra. And so then you make sure that the light rays and nectars enter into the body and mind, not just of yourself, but all sentient beings.
Dadiri, Jason, Judenanga Jumba, Rachasen, Deda di Gigi, Jan, Deda di Toba Cabajin, Julaki, Rashing, Julaki, Sumba, Jude Chitajawa, Markings, Judilla, Tunzams, Niba, Tunzamsu, young quarter that Taranjuti. Some devil in a lamrig, some devil in a that did it. They, Tunge, Kue Tunge, Sen Lamrig, Jevina, Pena, me Tunge, some comba, comjup, Tunge, me Tunge, some yatirba. This some need Tungi negers, December. Tatine dari nima chiglia tu tambu nivas jenny lamri kum jamni ne tus chigere lamri tambu di denjo tunji niga sampatene ma je tiche ani chua metaba sampat tus dugurba de du tine ko noa maji patu Gom Jamni Yari. Yatati, Nua Kebalape message go Guyagas Tindeina, that it Lamla Paja Shavichito, Chua Metapati, Nima sumji imashiji sambayina di samchasu di chechani dine nima sumja sambayina tun rabjini tun shi jebayina ni tun zamlirba tun zamlirduye ni chiwa medabagi kola xie shabaga dusu ma logu yari ni tun zamla karchuguriyasina tun zamla ta segi nenju ta chida chugurba 다 디바르동르부터 술이야 가르치고 그래 처음에 답에 걸려 삼 베지도 술로 삼 대치고 봐 야튠의 대인도 대치고 봐 어디에 튠점수 튠점수야 코아다도 동네가는 신도 뜸배 숭으로 건디데 잡았다 단데디 코아지 동네 삼바인바 튠기네고 코아지 동네 삼바봐 다 튠점게 내게서 네네 코아다다 동네가는 신임바 숭배 아니 숭으로 건디데 잡았어 돈바산지가 숭다 디엔제바도 스타야지 우리스 날씨노스 다니바
Now in the text it says, must be over the page. Well, no, that's right, yeah. So in particular think that these streams have produced in the minds of yourself. Yeah, actually no, we have to move on. Oh, in the text it's quite a few pages later, I guess. So on page 144 it says conclusion. That should be the third point. The conclusion is the same as before. Then second, what to do between sessions, because you've got the session and then between sessions. Furthermore, in between sessions, look at the scriptures and commentaries that show how all samsara has the nature of suffering and so on, just as described above. So that's in the context of meditating, doing this kind of meditation on the suffering of psychic existence in general. So this is, if you're going to do a Lamrim retreat, this is how you would practice. So, for example, you would meditate on the, when you're meditating on this part of the text, so you think about the suffering of human beings, which means thinking about the suffering of human beings. So that's what you'll be doing mainly in your the meditation session. So, for example, you might in one day, maybe one session, you meditate on the precious human rebirth. Perhaps you meditate on death, and you would need to persist with the meditation, keep doing sessions of meditation on this until you actually get the experience. Then, otherwise, in order to get some experience of the whole path, you might spend 3 or 4 days meditating on death, for example, or the precious human rebirth, and so forth. So then you would have the sessions, you'd be meditating on that, and then in the break time between sessions, you would read texts such as the Buddha's, scriptures, the Buddha's actual sutras, or read the commentaries which are about this topic, talking about the topic you've been meditating on. So, of course, in the break time, you have the yoga of eating and so forth, but otherwise, you're advised to spend your time reading about the sutras and commentaries that talk about this. So, again, during the session, in this context, the part of the text we're at the moment, during the session, meditating on the general sufferings of samsara. During the break, reading the sutras and commentaries which are about the suffering of samsara, the general suffering of samsara. Are there questions? Surprise.
Rinpoche, at the beginning, you spoke about the ripening or maturation body. I understand during the 9 stages of the death dissolution, so there's the gross body dissolving, and then the mind or the consciousnesses are dissolving. At which point is this body dissolving?
This is the naming luchik songsa. Naming lu. The shiwi kapsu ani the rapanyanga tansu the kalile tim rogidoa. The tante the naming luti kadu tim rogido.
Oh, did you team together? Rapanyanga di nami lu desage surchiche. The migo ombusiadi. Miwansia, migo omburba already. Migo ombuto sudire. Namigi luri. Namigi chari migo ombusina. Onde kobasia chituga. Onde kobati tanda tuguminduga. Onde kobati the shinduni de deare. Lu the shadow so de derva. Tako Matim to do Namigi Ludi could Ombu Mesawa Jet, Namidi Ombu Jerva, Miwanch, what the part Namshigi Danchi when nobody pa do together. Nobody part do together. Didn't Namshigi me ton chigrava. Could meet to do it. Todo ti dedierba. Pamen kuda nile tene tu shabagi. Ludi dedierba. Dedi kamru chimbre. Tanami ludi timdu dudum batini. Tiko dedi kamru tugiyera. Kamru chesirchi.
Chadante di rapanyanga dozu timbe kabla ani pena namshi dozu rejecheni te ani mobu dozu te nyamrogi dozu sigdo te kabla te timrogi do.
Timrogi yeri. Gejung ludi deduwa.
No. Yes, so when you think of it in terms of like the dissolution of the 25, types of phenomenon during the death process, then so yeah, it's during that process that the what would we call it, the body of maturation or the ripened body gradually would, in a sense, dissolve, as they say. It would dissolve. It would gradually, because the like for example, when we talk about the eye organ, well, in this what we're talking about, actually the eye organ would be this subtle form, which is part of the the body of maturation. So it would gradually absorb, but the eye, the physical eye, which is the basis for that eye organ, which is subtle form, that would remain, of course. I mean, it sort of like dries up somehow, but it gets left behind, right? So we would talk about the eye organ itself absorbing. So what it comes down to is that we, during that process, we talk about, now the eye organ has deteriorates or something like that. I can't remember the word that they use and so on. So that's part of a case of part of the body of maturation dissolving. So it gradually dissolves or degenerates during that process.
So it's obviously not the physical body that's disappearing. The gross is still there, but what enlivens it, I guess, is that ripening maturation body. That's the thing that's disappearing, I suppose.
Chesanda de rabang nyangando zo de timdungala and de ngazo de gigugi de ludi de timdroi ke jamarawa. Ko la do de namingi de ludi rawa. Yeah, that's right. The what they call the increasing whatever is body, that doesn't absorb, it doesn't disappear, it remains there, and what gradually dissolves, in a sense, the expression they use is the body of maturation. Yeah.
Rinpoche, we talk a lot about 6 realms. Can you talk some about the realm of bodhisattvas and Buddhas? Are they in a pure land?
What do you mean, like where they live kind of thing? Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Are there other options of talking about?
term싱 어서 남긴데 지나지나 도릭도 라기도 다 인가서 인질다 감투 잡지 시기도 칸데 감숨 열어 샘신내세 감숨 열어 다 디난싱 아니데 상기단 전제 샘베 내세데 감잡지 열어스
산제다.
상기단 전제 기 두들 거서데 대사 고구다 내사
어레.
무슨 내고구다 샘신지 내를 감숨 여번한진
감숨부세야디 랭이 좀 그도 샤브지레. 내디 랭이 좀 그도 샤브지레. 그 동네기 내려봐. 그래 산제 찬선지 산지기 신금이야로. 손이 그 떡지 두샤바기. 아니 내야래. 아주때 감숨부터 랭이 좀 그도 샤바기 내지 말이야. 산제를 뒤야 말이더니 손이 떡지 두샤바기 내지야리스.
So when we talk about the three realms, you can talk about the 6 realms or the 3 realms. We've got the desire realm, form and formless realm. So those are all created by, or they're all a product of karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. So actually, they're the abodes where the sentient beings live. They're the places where the sentient beings live, but they're places of suffering. And Buddhas, the Buddhas wouldn't live in places like that. The Buddhas live in pure lands which are created by their 2 accumulations of merit and wisdom. That's where they live.
Yeah, they don't have the appropriated aggregates
Right.
making the realms, other realms. Okay.
제가 그것을 레뇽기 원기 중에 풍부요 말아.
와.
상기든슬라.
야 말이야.
No, they don't have aggregates that are a product of the karma and the klesha. Right.
Do they have other kinds of aggregates?
The 레뇽기 원기 중에 풍부 매나한데 제가 풍부가 여러 배 상기든슬라. 풍부가 여러 배.
야리.
Yes.
수야리.
Form.
자야리. 지요리. 로야리.
They have form, visual form. They have sounds, smells, tastes, tangible.
What causes them to have those?
To have those aggregates. This 상기기 때 풍부기 귤어 가리샤기레스. 상기기 때 손이라. The two accumulations of merit and wisdom.
이식이 좋다. 수능 그 좋스.
Yeah, the collection or accumulation of exalted wisdom and merit.
얘네 상기를 수구세야 지다 추구세 진이 여러봐. 수구세야 돼 수능 그 수능 그 저기 또 버리. 추구세야 돼 이식이 저기 또 샤버리.
We also talk about how the Buddhas have 2 bodies, 2 kayas. You've got the Rupakaya, the form body, and the Dharmakaya, the truth body. So the form body, the Rupakaya, is mainly a product of merit, the collection of merit. And the truth body is mainly a product of the collection of wisdom.
야, 되네. 알레탄데. 어레다. 다 되어 매래.
So it looks like there's no questions.
매.
So with regard to
You can do the Tibetan English for this, right?
제주도면서 더 남인기 제부들라 딱 좋아 릭쭉 나온디 딱 케사데 소데 남인기 제부가 샤기로
루아리 두세 디리디 레닌 중게 남이지 풍부디 두디디 레닌 중게 남이지 냐의 풍부디 두인데 냐와서 그래 봐. 이다그 풍부디 두인데 이다서 그래 봐.
인제는 내가 남인기 주의데 간데도 치르면 소딱 해나 담녀와기 남인기 주의데 그사 더 네월렘바 이나 인성자오 이나
단
아니 데라 때네 단나밍기 류 데라 때네 네와기 니데 요리에 야나 네와바기 류 데라 때네
리다 디리 지단데 semgina chikyangyan ba ngane nyawe jakse sui che se di mezo de da kane chung se jebro ba nyawe jakse gi se shida nyawe mela suputu sukare de chibre se ne dida di simien ba tubesun di jebapu di besim dirba yin sanite nawa dindeji 차샤버지 낭점지 냐외 미게 계수는 아니 자세세시 사이나 매 초로서부터 순나와 다가나는 시야들이 메시지기 그 냐외 자세가 사이지 사시 그룹스 그래 나란도 상계를 지네 상계기 자세가 사시를 telletene ko tungenyu ati nyawa patusuna nawati sigi yari jabra sanje kunala nyawe jaksigi sashi yati naya mebre tinana ku jaksigi sashi tungeti nyongu yari ku le ti topje tubra tubshabar jibar nyawe ti ta kanje sakarasa tanji
다 먼저 다 조도 동네 용서대 조 넘는 게 리라 되네 요리요리
네
아네 다 리라빠가 되네
다티 녀글리티 다티 팀바 난주 류나신티 야마리 그 녀와티니 시스 코데 로그스르티니 메비임바리 그 지기르바 지기에서는 그 녀와티니 체표스는 그렇게 예드야스르지 미시지기 류디데샤 딘데스 드야 메비임바리 디에서티 그 지다 지기르바 녀와티 지기에서니 먼저던데 미 류데단 저금민도스 저금 말이스 지단 남이 냐외 남이 그 풍부도 발했더니 동네 뒤용구 여러봐 뒤에다 동네 콜레 때저 아빠라지기 genjugu 류지 지레 생각도 genjugu 류고 다 냐외 리 자가 투는 사발했더니 제 사발했더니 섹시 여러분들 여러분 딘데가 나와 샤야 여러분 딜 라파들바
기규리 여러벨 냐발데 기규기루 여러벨 기규기루 여러벨
뒤에
이기란 신을 부터 이기란 신을 벨 이기란 신
여기를 이기란 시스으로 들이 나편주 그런 거 토야 여러분 다 남이 길리데 그런데 나편주 그때 토야스게 매버려 냐와 나편주 그 토야지 여러분 딜리라 버려버려 디땡도 캐베기 남이 길리데 그런 돌은 조금 말해봐. 야, 다티 지난 주마송아, 다 주시.
그죠.
I don't know if I got everything, but my question was, generally when we talk about the fully ripening effect, we're talking about the realm in which one takes rebirth. So with regard to the maturation body, right? So how does that function, and what then is the source of suffering? So, for example, if you're if you undertake the body of a hell realm being, right? This maturation body of a hell realm being, where then does the suffering of the hell realm come from? Does it come from that maturation body, or does it come from the gross physical body? And then Rinpoche said, well, when a hell realm being is born in the hell realms, they experience the suffering of being burnt by like molten metal and metal and fire, heaps and heaps of fire. But the experience that they have of that suffering is actually just an appearance. So they have an appearance of these things that harm their bodies. Whereas if you take, say, the Buddhas, for example, the Buddhas would not have that experience or that appearance, and therefore they would not experience that suffering. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Rinpoche asked me to repeat my question, so I just repeated the same thing. Where does the suffering come from? Is it from the gross body or from that maturation body? And Rinpoche said, well, we have to take into account the fact that with hell realm beings, they take what's known as an emanation birth, right? Birth by emanation. Is that right? Or miraculous birth?
Sometimes it's called miraculous birth, or sometimes it's called like entrance birth, zutekeba, entrance birth. Because you just go there, you're not sort of like born in the womb and, the development of a body and kind of like that, you just appear there.
So then that's something we need to sort of keep in mind. So they don't have the same kind of body that we have that's something that arises from, the cells of the parents coming together. Nevertheless, the suffering that a hell realm being undergoes, they have that appearance of, say, molten metal burning their bodies. That burning is something that takes place on the basis of some kind of gross physical form. So Rinpoche he seems to think that ultimately the suffering comes not from that maturation body, but from the increasing?
Yeah, increasing body, yeah. I can't think of another term for it, gigugi. Yeah.
And then Steve, you asked, so that means that a hell realm being does have that gross physical body in spite of being an entrance birth?
Yeah.
Miraculous birth being?
Yeah. So like they still have the maturation body, which would be subtle and not visible to other hell beings. But there's still things that's happening to you as a hell being that other hell beings can see. That would be the that would be the increasing body, that appearance.
Did he say if it was an appearance of an increasing body, or if it was an actual? Because it's not coming from. If it's an appearance or because it's sounding like it's not a physical body in this.
Bena nyawape zupu yorwa. Tadi nangsam in slabgore di ngoni de chikasta zurebes. It is actually form. It is actually form.
Tengarandu jene nganju di dobe pata zamgi su ji serwa nganju di yujungene jume dobe pata zamgi lu tunang suru ji yesige luite. 이니 루이에서 봐 루이에서 거야.
냐와바디. No.
냐와레티 아란주레티. 아디 유딩네 두샤부지 아마레티. 이니 도베 파다 점기. 루이지리 스케링 거 봐.
Actually, just like for ourselves as human beings, like that with the hell beings, we would say there is still a body. You do still have a body, a physical body, even though it's merely imputed from the side of the mind. Still, there is a body there. You do have a body.
Yeah.
Rinpoche, can you say something for those of us who might not know, what the difference is between appearance of a body and form of a body?
Pena de lupo de zuki nawadang. What was it? Appearance and
Form. Appearance and
the form.
Beth was asking.
Yeah.
What's the difference? What's the appearance? I don't really understand what that means.
다 간단데 베네 류기 나와서나 가리고기도
similar dinde chi nang sha ba chiris jida ji ngaranju di len lu di len yu jung gu du sha ba chirba jesan len yu jung gi rang ge shebala na nang cha ji ba nang che dinde ji le ngaju su sia di len yu jung gi rang gi nam shila 나의 낭체지래 먼저류 시게르바 디 산제기 시티 잠바 먼저류디 딘데는 말 그래서는 산제를 레인이 좀기 주에 아니라 남실라 숙수 남의 차지여봐 디 산제를 이 말에 산제기 시티 잠바 ngaju lu lengi jung lu chi tu ja chi ba odi nangi amari dela rumi shimbaro chona se jer ba ta sanjale ngju kare na sune chong yu tok jinang gurba ngju di chong yu tok je du sha ba mar ba de nangju shinda jining ge yari mi shu ji 산젤이 간나와티 총리가 덮지는 게 난줄 간나와티 랭이 좀 나는 거래 대시에선 랭이니의 tum버기 그 나야디 디레지 난게 아니 미슈 딜레 게니 나투야 말아 다 랭이 파서브르 치네다 지 난주 신다 진구야 봐 디리 미슈지게 어디
Dite luki nawara. The luki ting du yang da pena de kato tang yip tin de yorwa.
어디
Chesan luki nawa dang luki tingi de zuki keche de luki suk nila kyaba kare yore.
어디 디 루기 카도데 입딜은 수기 깨지시게 알아 봐. 대티 디 나란 저기 랭이 좀 그죠 미시들는 게 알아 봐. 카도데 입 랭이 좀 그죠 아니 카도데 입 니부티 랭이 좀 그죠 미실라 능게 알아 봐. 능게 알지. 디낭 쳇zam이 있으다. 나쳇zam을 레이티미 쉬지. 나쳇zam을 레이시아디 가르스네 피긴 뇌네 추추샤바 많이 봐. 뇌네 두네 다 파다제제제제데 다른 이주 중거를 봐. 디 매버스 그래. 배나 알아서 분발을 파파파 쳇두네 뒤된 참물로 투두 그래. 뒤된 참물 뒤에 파지에서는 다 자스 대스 매버치 차기래. 분발이 초박이 두iten디게 마마마 제제제제제인데 분바 두비야기 두iten디 두테 참무질 투두리 두테 참무데 파제도 손에 란도 약소리지 말이 아니 이야 신다지 그 이야 매베서 차기 제상은 디 디르바와 디 소리지 이 중에는 맞으셔야 디리 제가 또 배나 찾음리
So when we talk about the appearance of the body, so we have there we would be talking about the appearance of the body to our mind, which happens under the control of the karma and the klesha, or the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. So here we're not talking about so much the emphasis isn't on the body being a product of karma and the klesha, but the appearance arising due to or under the control of the karma and the klesha. So what that means is, when the Buddhas see our body, they see what's appearing to us. They know what's appearing to us, but they don't have an appearance of our body arising under under the control of the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. Everything that appears to an enlightened being is due to the having completed the two accumulations. In our case, everything that appears is due to our karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. And when the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions become, when they become weaker and weaker and gradually diminish, then eventually we get a pure appearance due to our due to a pure mind, pure appearance. So then, if we think about so that's the appearance of the body. Then you have the form of the body. So the only way I could really convey that question was to talk in terms of the form, in the sense of the how it looks, in terms of colors and shapes and so on. So there, actually, you're talking about what we call the form source, sound source, and so on. So the form source that refers to, on the one hand, colors, the different colors, and the different shapes. So, like in the case of our body, the color and shape that of our body is a product of karma and destructive thoughts and emotions, and there is an appearance to our eye consciousness also under the control of the karma and the klesha. And we talk about the mere appearance to the eye consciousness. Why we talk about a mere appearance to the eye consciousness is because the significance of saying mere actually is that when you analyze it, you can't find it. It doesn't exist from its own side. Like, for example, with a vase, there's nothing that you can point out in the base of imputation as being the vase. You go right down to the atoms or molecules that the vase is composed of, and you lose the vase. You can't find the vase. So talking about a mere appearance has that kind of connotation.
Yeah, that is.
So I think we'll stop there. Zaji bagi joji meto tram ri rab lin ji ni de kemba de sange jing du mi te wai drogen nam da jing chebara jo etan guru rana mendala kani dayami Rinpoche mage panangi gyuji keba nyamba mebai kone kondu avarai shu kore shingandi pendan dewa malu chungwene jene ziwan tenzin gyazoi shabe site pad tengyuru chi. To bring blessings of enlightened activities to fortunate disciples and to spread the textual and inner realization teachings of the Buddha who embodies the 10 powers. You show the light of logic in teachings to intelligent minds. I pray to the spiritual friend, the revealer of the path, please firmly remain.
Thank you.